Morning everyone. We're just going to do a voiceover this video. Joe and I decided to do our fall planting with our seeds and just enjoyed each other's company and chatted and everything, and you guys don't want to hear all that. So this is the layout of those seeds that I just showed you. We're definitely focusing on some cooler season varieties. Kale we love, and we definitely want to bump up our leek situation. Joe really is excited to use some leeks in the kitchen. And definitely we want a lot more carrots to use. This is a tomato that we salvaged. They're still putting out a good amount of fruit, so we just buried it deeper. Tomatoes like to be deep, so. This is the inlet. We added another line of dripper right here. That's the start. This is a whole new line right here. And then we plugged it back into the original system. So instead of having 4 runs, now we have 6. The beds kept drying out, so this is a lot better water coverage. Did the same thing on this other bed that we did the day prior. It is about noon when we filmed this, so everything was looking a little bit stressed, but we did just transplant everything. This is our eggplant that we transplanted, and these are all the celery. And then we had a few bull's blood beets that we transplanted as well. So at night they perk up, in the day they're a little stressed. So this is all the new drip that we ran, looking really good. We used these bamboo stakes to basically design the previous bed with all the lettuces to make it kind of look cool, since the entire bed was pretty much lettuce. And then I'm just recharging the soil that we used. It's an organic fertilizer, Garden Tone. I did use the organic raised bed mix. We probably put in, what is that, 6 times 2, 12 cubic feet in each one as they settle. So like I said, Joe and I were just enjoying each other's company, enjoying the sunshine, talking. This day was super nice. It was like high 70s. It was warm, but not too hot. Some people have been asking about these t-shirts. They're not the most flattering, but they're actually sunscreen t-shirts that we don't have to put on sunscreen every day. And it's got that little hoodie so it protects your ears. They're nice, they're really breathable. Wicks out the moisture from your sweat. And then you just toss them in the laundry. We got them on Amazon. I can put the link down below if you guys want it. But here I'm just using the bamboo stake to keep me straight. I'm doing the bunching onions, and Joe in the back is doing the leeks. He was super excited about leeks this year. He definitely wants to bump up his culinary game. He's been getting really good at just going out to the garden and whipping up meals. It's kind of his passion is cooking. We are seeding these a little bit heavy, at least I am, with the bunching onions, and as they come up we can thin them out. We still have a few more warm days in the forecast, so we're gonna have to keep these on the moister side to make sure that they all germinate. That's also a reason why I added another drip line, is to make sure these things get adequate moisture. So these are those lines, just keeping them straight. Just have to go about 1/4 inch down for bunching onions, so not too deep. Make a trough, put your seeds in there, just backfill, and then pat it down and water them in. The leeks we only did, I think, 3 seeds per hole, and like I said, we'll just come back through if they all germinate and space them. I believe they were 8 inches apart, just so that there's one plant every 8 inches. We did try to plan these out a little bit. Our sun is starting to get lower in the sky as winter comes, and so we put the taller things toward the back and the shorter things up front. To Joe's right is the path that the sun takes in the winter. It's pretty low, so we want to make sure everything gets adequate sun. Now we move on to the next bed. I'm doing the carrots. This is a rainbow variety, so we get lots of fun colors. Again, using the stakes to keep straight lines. And we're just doing 3 rows. We're doing a lot of carrots just because I feel carrots are one of those time investment crops. They take forever to germinate, and then they, take a while to grow as well. So we're going to be doing some succession planting. We have one more bed that's behind us that's still putting out a good amount of melon. We have a watermelon back there and some chard. And so we're letting those go a little longer. So we'll probably put another crop of carrots as well as some other fun things back there in probably 2 weeks or so. So we'll have nice succession. We can start pulling the carrots as we need them. The nice thing about carrots too is over winter, their sweetness increases. The starches turn into more sugars as the temperatures drop. So we can probably harvest these all the way up until March or so before it starts getting really warm again. Again, heavily seeding these, and then we can space them out to about 1 inch apart once they start popping up. But again, for people who, like me, are impatient, carrots are the worst. They just take a while. I believe they take like 2 weeks or so to finally start germinating. So again, you want to keep these moist, make sure that they have a good environment to start sprouting with. If you let them dry out, you will lose your seeds, so just be on top of it, be diligent. Again, just tamping them down, making sure they're in place, and watering them in. This new drip line, it does have a little bit of that memory still in it. Let it sit out in the sun a little bit, it'll start to loosen up. But we do have those little landscape staples that keep them in place. We are doing a few beet varieties. We're gonna try and make some culinary dishes with beets, roasting them, sauteing them, using them in salads. Both are really pretty in the garden. I'm excited for the winter garden though, because there's gonna be so much leafy greens. It's gonna look really lush and pretty. And we chose a lot of varieties that have purple in them. There's something, I don't know, I have an affinity toward purple for some reason, especially among greenery. It just is very soothing to me. So you probably notice that I gravitate towards a lot of purples and blues and a lot of the cooler colors. I also feel like in the landscape, and especially when you live in a hotter area like we do, those cooler colors bring down the temperature visually. If you have reds and yellows and oranges, it seems to warm up the space. And I want more of a cool, relaxing environment. So hence I tend to gravitate toward those cooler colors in the garden. Again, more beets. Joe was very meticulous when it came to planting. I felt like he was about to go get a ruler to come and measure things. I'm a little bit more willy-nilly. He's more of a precise person, which is good. You need that balance, I suppose. So these beds right here, They get a good amount of sun. They're in the shade most of the morning, so I'd say they probably get a good 5 hours of sun, especially in the winter time. And these were the first 2 beds that we filled. So we had a lot of construction going on still, so we were impatient. So this one doesn't have that hugel layer on the bottom. It's pretty much solid raised bed mix. So this is a lot more lofty. It also took a lot more bags to fill these. So in the summertime, we'll probably allocate these 2 beds to things that are root crops, because it'll be lofty and loose, and things like your potatoes, your carrots, your onions, things that grow more down rather than up. These beds will be perfect for. Just watering them all in, and then the drippers go off in the evening around 6:37 or so. Again, you can see the purple varieties that I love, doing lots of kale, more beets. And then this was an impulse buy. We got some garlic, more carrots. The plants that are behind are a spinach variety that we picked up at the garden center that were already started. So this bed was our crazy tomato bed. So we took out probably 3 varieties and salvaged 2 of them. These are the basil plants that were in there, so we just trimmed up their canopy and replanted those. These tomatoes, we left them at the same level they were planted and then just filled up more. Tomatoes like to be deep again, and so they'll probably actually do a little bit better. Again, a lot of the same varieties. Beets, kale, carrots. Doing a little whoop-de-woo. Trying to get the camera in place so you guys can see what we're doing. Not gonna lie, these raised beds, I'm actually so happy that we put in such tall raised beds. You know, Joe and I actually threw out our backs this last month doing yard work. So these are nice. You just drop down your kneeling pad and you're all of a sudden at a good working level. I seem to always bend over still just to be on the easy way of doing things, but I need to be more conscious of my body posture. Yeah, for anybody who has back issues, these raised beds are the way to go. They actually make certain raised beds that are even taller than this, if that's something that you would like, that would make life easier for you. There's some that are on like legs that can be up to, 4 feet tall or so. But these are about 2 feet tall. And if anybody was curious, these beds are open to the native soil below. There's just a screen on the bottom that keeps any gophers or ground squirrels out. Just dividing up the bed here, we had 2 different beets. So we did one variety on the left, one on the right. And you can kind of see on the right side here, kind of where Joe's working, there's a metal bar. It actually helps hold the middle of these beds because they're so big from bowing. There's actually 3 of them as they go down. Just holds the whole thing in place. So if you notice those, and then we actually run the drippers underneath them so that it kind of holds everything in place. And it's a good indicator of our soil level. When we fill these with bags, we kind of go up to that bar. It gives us a little bit of room on top so that things aren't overflowing. As these beds settle, I'm hoping that we'll only have to top them up maybe once a year now. This bed is the 3rd bed, but the first 2, like I said, we didn't do the hugelkultur. So those will start to slow down as far as settling goes, but this 3rd one and all the other ones, they do have a lot of sticks and packaging, paper, and everything. So these ones are going to be settling a lot more. So I anticipate these ones will have to top up probably twice a year until the bottom settles down to where it wants to. But from some of my reading that I've done about hugelkultur is these beds will probably retain the most moisture because as that wood rots, it's kind of a sponge. So things that have long roots will actually benefit from doing hugelkultur or any kind of stick and stump burial on the bottoms of your beds. They'll trap that moisture. If you're planning on putting in raised beds, try to go as big as you can too, because the larger volume of soil that you have will retain more moisture and you won't have to water it as much. The surface does have the possibility of drying out, so you want to make sure that shallow rooted crops as well as seedlings still get adequate moisture to germinate and start growing. But for the most part, the larger the bed, the more hands-off you'll be once your plants are established. We're just finishing this up. Finishing up with the kale. Kale is one of our favorite leafy vegetables. I'm not a big iceberg lettuce fan as far as salads go. I always like a heartier leaf. But we did a ton of lettuce varieties in the first bed that we planted the day before this. So as those start coming up, I'll show you guys what we planted, but we did, I think, 9 different varieties of lettuce. So I'm pretty excited. So this is the box of garlic that we got. So in there you have 3 heads. And within that head, you've got your cloves. So you want to bust it open. And when you're planting them, there is a top and a bottom. So those are the cloves inside of the head. You want to make sure that they're nice and firm, not mushy or anything. Throw the mushy ones out, they're no good. This pack was really good. Nice and tight. They were all dry and firm, ready to go in. But each of these cloves that are inside this head will produce another head. The garlic that we did grow this last year, Joe mentioned it actually when we were eating it in one of our dishes, that it does actually taste different. It's more like earthy. When you self-grow it, it just had more of that like umami flavor. So we're gonna continue to grow our own garlic. So we space these out probably every 2 inches or so. Garlic doesn't get all crazy big, but you do want to make sure there's enough room for that nice big head to grow. So we're gonna do 3 rows in this one, and I think I had a little bit left over at the end to put a little extra, but I threw some of these paper wrappings of the garlic away, but you can just shove them down in the soil. They're all organic, they'll break down. Got them all spaced out. Just cleaning up a little bit. Okay, so planting up the garlic, you've got a top right there, the pointy side, and then the blunt end is the bottom. So that's the top, and that goes up. So there's the bottom right there, the blunt end, and you just push it down maybe an inch or so, and you just push, push, push down in there. If you put it upside down, it's not the end of the world, but it's not ideal for the plant. The plant wants to grow up out of the up end and send roots down the bottom. Otherwise, it's going to be all upside down, and it's going to take a lot of effort and energy in that bulb for it to get going. So try to do it a solid and plant it the right way. The blunt end down for roots and the pointy end up for the sprout. And I just backfilled. And this is our trellis right here that I had been soaking some peas on the counter in the kitchen. And so I was taking this opportunity to use the trellis. One of our moonflowers didn't take right there. So I'm gonna put some snap peas to grow up that trellis. So peas actually benefit, they're kind of a hard seed. They benefit from soaking in water for at least a few hours, if not overnight. And it kind of soaks in that water, softens them, and helps with germination. And you can put these pretty close. I was putting them like 1 inch apart from one another on this trellis, and then one across the way. Snap peas are one of my favorite things to snack on in the garden. I love crops that you can just snack on while you're out and about. That's why I love cherry tomatoes so much, sugar peas, snap peas, anything you can just pick and enjoy. So just watering in that basil that we transplanted. I went out there this morning, they're all looking really good. So if you do transplant something like that, these were probably 3 feet tall, so I cut them down to maybe not even a foot. But when you transplant something like that, you're messing with the roots, and those damaged roots can't support that canopy anymore. So you want to cut that canopy down to give the roots a little bit of a break to reestablish and not be taxed by such a large canopy. So these are all the beds, all finished up. Took us a few hours to clean everything out, put in new soil, add the drip line, and plant everything. So then we also stuck in these bamboo poles with some little pots on top to put bird netting. In our last garden, I remember when we planted lettuces and seedlings like this, the birds would just come by and eat all of our seedlings. So bird netting is a must. So that's it. I'll keep you guys updated, and happy fall planting.